sustainable development rests on peace. Without peace, we cannot move anywhere. We also require accountability, and we also require to promote the rule of law as a culture. Yet, we live in turbulent times. We have seen wars and humanitarian crises in neighboring countries and across the globe, and we cannot be aloof to what is happening to our neighbors. What is happening to our neighbors is also likely to happen to us. We cannot even deal with the influx of people moving from those countries coming to seek asylum or to settle here in Kenya. We have to deal firmly with the issue of corruption. We have to strengthen our institutions and stop talking about weak institutions. We have also to build on public trust, which is diminishing. Kenyans no longer trust people who are supposed to be providers of service or caregivers or people given the responsibility of running the institutions. Consider systemic shocks from pandemics to climate extremes that test the state's capacity. Our Vision 2030 has situated our governance as a central pillar of development. The SDGs also echo this, recognizing peace, justice, and strong institutions as both an end and an enabler. Where government falters, rights are infringed, resources are misused, and growth stalls. Where government is strong and accountable, development flourishes, and people are able to go to school, they are able to access medical services, and they are able to realize their potential. These four challenges that I have highlighted are interlocking. Climate stress worsens inequality, technological disruption without guardrails weakens trust in governance. Poor governance amplifies both. Therefore, my challenge today, our dear scholars, our researchers, is that we should approach development not as a merely technocratic exercise. It's not a technical issue where we can put a committee to deal with. It's a real society issue. Development as a people-centered endeavor requiring justice, fairness, participation, and long-range vision. Those are not just technical issues, but society issues that require an all-society approach. An inclusive justice system is foundational to achieving the dream of sustainable development, because without justice, we cannot have peace, we cannot have development. A justice system accessible only to the privileged entrenches inequality. And the professor cited the example of the raw numbers we have of the ratio of judges to the population. However, a justice system that is affordable and responsive is a great equalizer. This conviction animates our judiciary's blueprint, the social transformation through access to justice, a 10-year plan through which we aim to make justice truly people-centered. We stepped out to say that we are not only looking at the judiciary, but we are looking at the people and moving to ensuring people are empowered to know their rights, to claim their rights when they are violated, and even to take the agency of resolving those disputes through the various methods of alternative justice resolution that we are modeling. Mentioned corruption. This is a difficult conversation in our country, but it is one that we must every day speak against. We must always say no to corruption. We've been trying to do that in the judiciary by setting up systems, structures, and mechanisms, including an address every day you come to court. There will be someone explaining that the services that we give are free. There is no room for corruption, and if anybody has asked you for money, it's a criminal offense. I don't know how many times, because even when we put signs there, this is a corruption-free zone, Kenyans have a culture of always carrying something. And we tell them, coming to court is not like going to church or to a temple or a mosque where you are supposed to take sadaka. We don't receive sadaka. But I don't know when they can stop this habit. It's a bad habit, it's a bad culture, which requires us as a country to engage in this difficult conversation and say no to corruption, no to bribery, no to all these shortcuts, and aim at a sustainable development, because these habits are not sustainable at all. We cannot definitely sustain the corruption indexes that we are experiencing. However, to decide those cases, and the missing link which other countries are coming to understand it from us is how we have been able to link the formal and the informal justice system. We allow them to bring those agreements that they have entered into, so long as they have followed the procedure that we have prescribed, and we adopt it as the order of the court. So that is called people-centered justice, because they have taken the agency to decide their own cases. This is one innovation that I am very, very proud of. These reforms for me, or for the judiciary, aim to reduce delay and cost of litigation. These reforms also empower communities to resolve disputes and restore confidence that the law is not a remote fortress, but a service for all. It's a lived reality. And I hope in the fullness of time, this great university will also run a clinic for dispute resolution. We stand here to support you to come up with one, so that you can help the members of the community around here know their rights and resolve their disputes. So as you launch your LLB program, I think you can aim to launch also the dispute resolution tribunal for the members of Rimuru.
Is to raise concerns, and I've written several times to the office of the Chief Justice, and he replied to my letters. Now, my question to the Lady Justice, we have seen there is a section of judicial officers who are transactional, who must be given something so that they make certain judgments in a way that the person who gives them money wants the judgment to be made. What is your office doing to mitigate that? Thank you.
Arrest the one who is asking for money because they are committing a criminal offense. If you are asking for a bribe and you know it is illegal, it is an offense, and you are a judge and you are a magistrate, you are committing a criminal offense. You are not worthy to sit at the seat of justice, because the seat of justice is like a temple, it's a temple. So you cannot in the same vein, talk about justice and talk about corruption and talk about bribery. The problem with our people is that they don't bring forth this evidence. They don't even speak loudly against it, because one wants to take undue advantage of the other. So that is why they go to take a bribe, thinking when you don't have a case can be built where there is no case. It's a waste of time, because you may just bribe a magistrate who will rule in your favor. The case can go to the High Court and it will be turned against you. Or even if you are able also to bribe in the High Court, you cannot bribe 3 judges in the Court of Appeal, and you certainly cannot bribe 5 judges in the Supreme Court. So if you don't have a case, let it be you have no case. But you cannot interfere with the justice. Conceptualizing development goals for today's challenges and tomorrow's possibilities is timely. It is also urgent, because as you heard from the DVC finance, we are at this intersection where we have to emerge from the throes of poverty, from the problems of climate change, from the problems of inequality. We just have to catapult ourselves and move forward. We have to solve all the problems that we encounter, because some of them are out of our own making. So we convene at a pivotal historical moment. Globally, we are at halfway mark of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. While the Sustainable Development Goals remain a guiding light, it is clear that the world is not on track to achieve them by 2030. This year's conference also coincides with a milestone here at home, where we are 15 years since we promulgated our Constitution of Kenya 2010. As you all know, we have the most transformative social contract by way of our Constitution of Kenya 2010, whereby we resolved to entrench participatory governance. We also entrenched sustainable development, human rights, and the rule of law as key pillars of our governance. Development in an evolving world requires us to reimagine development, and we must begin with clarity of how we understand the concept of development. In the past, development was often equated with GDP growth. It was also equated with industrial output or large infrastructure projects. Today, it is rightly seen as a multi-dimensional and people-centered idea, with a focus on improving on the well-being and capabilities for all, while safeguarding the planet for the future generations. Second variable is rising inequality, which remains a stubborn impediment to our quest for development progress. Despite global reduction in extreme poverty, inequality within and between countries persists in income and wealth, but also in gender disparities, youth exclusion, and the marginalization of persons with disabilities, minorities, and remote communities. Our Constitution mandates protection of the marginalized and contemplates affirmative action for disadvantaged groups. But equality cannot be achieved by declarations alone. We need to do more. It requires deliberate policies in social protection, inclusion, quality education, equitable opportunity structures, especially for women and youth, and strong accountability to dismantle corruption and systemic injustice. To leave no one behind must mean beginning with those farthest behind. We need to work on is technological disruption, which is a third defining force. Artificial intelligence, digital finance, biotechnology, and automation, which are transforming our productive services and civic life. Our innovation as a country in the mobile money demonstrates technology's promise, financial inclusion, lower transaction costs, and new economic opportunities. Digital justice tools, including e-filing and virtual hearings, are also expanding access to courts. The challenge we are facing today is to forge governance frameworks that ensure inclusion, that ensure we protect the rights, and steer innovations towards public benefit. We also need strong, accountable institutions, including the justice system, which are indispensable to ensure technology serves human dignity rather than undermining it.
Global goal of Christian University is to integrate faith with academics and provide solutions to the society. That brings us to question how we have conducted education in this country. The model that says go to school, finish, graduate, get a job is no longer working. Therefore, we must try to find what difference does a faith university provide. If our knowledge and our understanding and what we achieve from university does not provide solution to the society, then we will not be able to have the job. But if we are able to provide solutions, because all jobs provide solutions to challenges that the society is experiencing. To join you during this important research conference that brings together top researchers and practitioners to share evidence-based knowledge that provides solutions to societal challenges. This gathering challenges us to reimagine the future and ask ourselves questions like, with the knowledge and information becoming more readily available, how will universities remain relevant? We must answer this question in this conference. Presently, Chief Justice affirms that sustainable development cannot be achieved without justice, equity, and strong governance. You remind us that the pursuit of SDGs is ultimately about building fair, inclusive, and resilient societies governed by the Constitution and the rule of law. And in this particular university, we spend a lot of time and give attention to research because we generate knowledge that informs policy, to also drive innovation, and it serves for the greater good. In conclusion, allow me to thank the Vice Chancellor, the organizing committee, for putting this research together, this conference together, and it is my hope that the proceedings of this conference will go a long way in touching lives of Kenyans and serving humanity.
Treated to a presentation in which we were shown the GDP growth rate, and it seems to swing whenever we have a general election coming up. It points to the connectedness of political instability and lack of progress in economic growth. I think it's something we ought to pay attention to. Secondly, we have limited access to justice, and we have seen you go around the country just trying to improve on that. It intrigued me just to ask myself, what is the ratio of judges to the citizenry that we need? And I got to know that in the US, we have 150 judges per 1 million Americans. While in Kenya, this is how well we are doing. We have 35 to 1 million. Maybe that number could have changed. I think that thing that we probably could have done better in this area of SDG number 16 is corruption, which weakens state institutions, erodes public confidence, and hinders sustainable development of our country. That money that goes into corruption, if it was put into productive use, how much would have developed? I think the fourth thing is under-representation of women. And we grappled with it yesterday. Women are significantly underrepresented in senior levels of decision-making, limiting their participation in development and peace-building efforts. 2030 strategic plan. We plan to launch our LLP, which will be in addition to our criminal justice program that the president has eloquently talked about. We believe will make a contribution in this endeavor in SDG number 16. We hope when we extend an invitation to launch that program, Madam Chief Justice, you will find time to come and launch it for us here.